What's going on, Leggies? My name is VTR. Welcome back to another movie review, and I'm not too late on this movie. Uh, I'm a little late, but not too much. Today we're reviewing Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Let's go ahead before I talk about anything about what I thought about it. Let's go ahead and read the synopsis real quick. Daredevil archaeologist Indiana Jones braces against time to retrieve a legendary dial that can change the course of history. Accompanying him is his goddaughter. He soon finds himself squaring off against, I'm not even going to try to say that name, a former Nazi who works for NASA. Kind of a spoiler. I don't know why that's in the... Okay. But yeah, let's go ahead and get into talking about what I thought about this movie. Going into it, I thought, like, everyone thought that Crystal Skull was the worst of the franchise. Going into it, I had very low expectations. I did not think the trailer looked good. I thought the movie looked very generic and everything, and it just did not look like a... And don't get me wrong, I really enjoy the original trilogy of this franchise. And even though I didn't grow up with this franchise, it's still like a franchise that I think is a really good franchise. With that being said, Dial of Destiny, boring. I know. And looking at, I'm not gonna say it right now, but like looking at the Rotten Tomatoes score, I'm surprised. Because okay, so I want to talk a little bit. This might be a little bigger review than I normally do with a movie like this, but I might be. Well, movie when it starts out, it's like you get like a typical little small indie adventure in there at the beginning because it's a flashback and to a young indie, and we'll get to that. Don't you worry. But it's nice. I think that there's like it's probably the best bit of the movie is that. As the movie goes on, you see Indy go on this adventure to get this dial and everything, and I'm sorry, but Harrison Ford, you are too old for this role. I don't get me wrong, I think he did a good job for what he was given, but like just some of it just seems like, and like it's not distracting or anything, his age or anything. It's just like, dang man, you are. And there's even a few jokes about it in the movie. It's like, yep, you're too old for this and everything. And it kind of is. It's just like, it's hard for the stunts and all that. And another thing I was like, that was one of my concerns. Like, how much is going to be practical here? How much is going to be CG? I'm pretty sure most of the stunts are CG and everything. I don't think there's as much practical. Don't quote me on that. Maybe there is more practical than I'm giving it credit for. But it's not as distracting as it is in Crystal Skull. I will say that. But one of the big problems, like I said, though, with even though Crystal Skull was not a great movie, it's not boring. This movie is like, and it's not like the point like what's a movie that like actually legitimately like just like it's like a not that kind of boring. It's just like there's not a lot of time where I like look at my phone to see what time it is while watching a movie in theaters. This movie was one of those moments. I did that a couple times. I don't know if that's because I was bored or I had other movies I was seeing that day, but I was just bored by it. I think the movie just all of a sudden was just boring. The side characters, I don't really didn't really enjoy the most. A lot of the there's nothing really inherently wrong about them. There's just nothing special. It's interesting for them to have a lead, a female lead that like Indiana is like not a love interest to or whatever, like it has been in like every other film. It's his goddaughter this time around, which is very this is an interesting take and everything. And we also get introduced to this like her father character in this which is fine, I guess. But for what this movie is trying to be, I think with it being a send off to the franchise, it's fine. This is the longest one in the franchise too. I think it's the longest movie in the franchise. Talking at it almost an hour and a half. Most of the other ones are just about 2 hours long. But like I said, the movie is just boring at points, and it's like the action scenes. There's some fun here. Like the action scenes don't. Some of them like don't really feel like there's a lot of weight to them. There's some interesting storylines that are thrown in there in the movie regarding the his goddaughter, which could have been more interesting as it's kind of maybe its own film, but like why was it thrown in there to begin with, and just things like that. And also some stuff in the third act, I don't want to give it away. It's just really odd to me, and I'm not the biggest fan of what they do. I don't want to give away any spoilers, but I don't know. It just felt out of place to me. Overall, though, I do think this is probably the worst film in the franchise. And yes, I do think Crystal Skull was better. I do think Crystal Skull was a better film. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room. Obviously, I mentioned the flashbacks to a younger Indiana Jones. And yes, they do the de-aging effect, which for the most part, it doesn't look really that bad or anything. Like the average person isn't going to notice it. Me, I kind of did. I was like, okay, but it's not terrible or anything. Except for in some shots, we're like, oh, okay, that looked a little iffy there. And that looked a little questionable. And another thing is, a lot of times when it's like the physical acting and like everything with that, it's fine with those scenes. But as soon as Indiana Jones opens his mouth, I laughed. That was like, that just sounds like an old man coming out of a 30-something-year-old. Cause it's got his young face, but like it's still his old voice coming out of it. It's like it's a little distracting. And I'm glad it's like mostly only at the beginning of the film too. There's a spot later in the movie where there's another flashback that isn't as noticeable there. But that's definitely noticeable. At least to me, like, I could tell basically instantly. Maybe it's because I know what Harrison Ford looks like now. That's why I noticed it so quickly. Most people probably just aren't gonna notice that or even care enough. But it's just something I noticed, and I had to point it out in the review. I had to. It's just something that I had to. But for Indiana Jones, like diehard fans, I feel like they enjoyed this movie all right. But it's personally, I think it is kind of the weakest film in the series. I don't think it. I think maybe it may people a little more mad, but maybe the reboot route would have been a better situation to go for, because that was like when there was talks about this movie years ago, it was like, was it going to be a reboot? It was at a point where like Chris Pratt was when Chris Pratt was supposed to be playing everything, Chris Pratt was supposed to be playing Indy in a reboot or anything like that, which would not surprise me if they do that in the future. They decided to reboot the franchise with a younger Indy or something like that, which I don't know if I'd be against or not. I do not know if I'd be against that or not. It'd be interesting to see though, but I'm not too sure. Let's go ahead and get into the critic rating. The critics give this movie a 69 on Rotten Tomatoes, and audiences give it an 88. Honestly, from critics, I was expecting lower. Audiences, I figured it'd be about there. Personally, with me, because like I really don't know where to put this personally, because I didn't like it that much, but I didn't hate it. But it's definitely something where I was like, okay, where are we going here? What is the point? What's the character stuff and everything like that? What are we going for here? It's just I don't know. It was like a lot of things like and also the way how I don't like how they kind of there's a line in there that sounds like, hey, explain where what happened to one character. And it tries to be a sentimental moment, but also it kind of doesn't feel that earned because like the two main leads don't really feel like they get like I don't know. And there's a lot of like things like I think they should have kept out of the trailer, which is something like it's in the trailer, so I can say it here. Like the goddaughter first betrays him and everything, and he's like, or is he like not there to or whatever. I was like, kind of left that out of the trailer, I think. And also there's this new character, I forgot his name. Actually, what was his name? Also, I don't know if this isn't really that important, but Antonio Banderas is in this movie. I don't remember him being in any of the other movies, but hey, him being in it, it's a plus in my book. I like Antonio Banderas, so I'm trying to remember the other character's name. I'm looking on the. I think his name was Teddy. I think was his name. He was an alright character. Not much else to say about him, to be honest. That's really not much to his character, to me at least. Like he's just there as like the goddaughter's like sidekick and everything, basically. So, but overall, my rating for Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, that's a toughie. I didn't think that I don't know if I could say the movie was bad. I can't say it was good either. I could say it was just Yeah, that's a go. It was kind of boring, and for that alone, like it's hard for me to give a positive rating on this for a movie just being straight up boring, in my opinion. I'm gonna give it a 2 out of 5. I think that's the nicest I can be to this movie. But what do you guys think? Did you enjoy Isle of Destiny? Let me know. Dial of Destiny. The heck. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.